So what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video where today we are back with more Tag the Toten storyline, looking at Pablo Marinus, his involvement, what he's doing, and ultimately how we got here and what his ending was. So as always, if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like rate, and if you enjoy, make sure you are subscribed. But let's get into it. Here we go. We first heard about Pablo a long time ago. In fact, I believe it was in the original Call of the Dead. As part of the original storyline, he was one of Group 935's first test subjects, along with Takio and Nikolai. Richtofen accidentally ended up killing Pablo, which is when he was replaced by Dempsey, but as part of our broken cycle, things are a little bit different. Once again, Pablo was captured by Group 935 and used in their experimentations, but this time he is still alive, and it seems Pablo has been living in the abandoned Group 935 facility ever since. In the map you can find 5 different radios or recordings from him where he begins to explain his story.
Day 521. I still don't know how it is possible, but late last year, I awoke from a watery grave. When I swam to the surface, I found the German military base abandoned. Only the undead remained on their shores. I attempted to flee, but the fog, it seemed no sooner that the shore faded behind me, it reappeared in front of me. Every attempt I made to escape, it led me right back here. As if I was meant to be here. I have begun broadcasting a radio signal. I'm hoping that someone will answer and come to my rescue. But if no one comes, I'm not sure how much longer I will survive this place. Day 3682, I think. Last night, I had a dream. A dream I have not had in many years. Like the ones I used to have at the Eisendrache. I dreamed I was in medieval times. During a great war, a war to end all wars. In this dream, I am attacked by one of the great beasts. It holds me within its grasp, about to end my life. When I am saved, spared by a man in cloth, not a priest, someone more powerful. He wields a staff of fire. I see 4 heroes stand atop of a mound. The 4 raise their staffs in unison, and suddenly the knights know the war is not lost. I rejoin the fight alongside my king. For years I had dreamed of this war. I wonder, perhaps the Germans' experiments warped my brain, my sense of space and time. He thought I died, but it was only that my mind had transformed. I have been here 10 years. No one has responded to my radio message. Is there no one out there? Am I even on Earth? Or am I caught somewhere in between? Every time I try to escape, my raft always brings me back. This place is my prison. But is it a prison? Perhaps it is more like a waiting room, a purgatory of sorts. Perhaps my dreams are much more. Perhaps they are visions of what is to come. And perhaps it is here I must wait for what is to come. They will come for me. In my dreams of this great war, I meet a German doctor. Oddly, he reminds me of the man who once tormented me. But his face is different. When I meet him, he is angry and frustrated. He mentions a man named Dr. Monty, saying he is to blame. This German doctor, he says he believed following Monty's plan would lead them to secure a better tomorrow. This was a lie, he says. This Dr. Monty, he sent the four to the Great War. It was at this moment the German doctor said he realized the truth. Coming to the Great War did not break the cycle. It was merely the end of their loop. We will die here, he says. Then we will be reborn again. And when it is time, we will meet once more in northern France, continuing this never-ending loop. I wonder, he says, how many times have I been to the Great War? How many times have I perpetuated this endless cycle? I'm tired, he says. I have been trying so very hard to do the right thing. But for all his efforts, he had only fulfilled the prophecy of this cycle. He and Dr. Monty had forged the endless loop. This doctor, he tells me one more thing. He tells me he realizes that Dr. Monty is not inherently evil. Dr. Monty, he says, is trying to save the multiverse the safest way he knows how. By forcing us into this cycle, our story will never end. But also, his universe and his existence will be guaranteed. I can't blame him, he says. Dr. Monty is much like you and me. He just wants to survive. He doesn't want to risk his own annihilation. I tell him, well, if we are doomed to meet here again and again until the end of existence, perhaps there is something we can do to change that. He looks at me with a smile and says, I think you are right, old friend. Day 4721. I think I understand. I know why I am here, why I am trapped on this rock, why I have these dreams, these visions, why I must get to this great war, and what purpose I am to serve in this cataclysmic event of the ages. I am not being sent just to witness what happened, but it is I who helps the doctor break his cycle. Near the end of the Great War, when all hope is nearly lost, I protect him while he activates a device, a teleportation mechanism. I hold back the undead as he powers it up. I give him the moment he needs to escape his fate. I ask him, where will you go? He says, there is a prison I must travel to. Hopefully, I can intercept our friends before it is too late. Before he goes, I give him the elemental gem from the Staff of Fire. I had seen it used to vanquish great evil. He once used it to save my life. Perhaps it will serve him well on his new path. This is why I am here. It is no coincidence that I have also been left with the plans for the Agarthan device. That is how I get to the Great War. I'll need some help. But in my visions, I have seen that I will have help soon. For now, I must bide my time. For my time is coming.
So as I said at the beginning of the video, Pablo was one of Richtofen's test subjects. He was an experiment of his, along with Nikolai and Takio. In the original storyline, Pablo died when Richtofen removed his spleen, but we can see here he is still alive. Now in the map you can still find Pablo's spleen. It is this right here inside of the pod, and he does say in the first radio, Day 521, I don't know how it is possible, but last year I awoke from a watery grave. When I swam to the surface, I found the military German base abandoned. He mentions how every time he tried to escape this place, he he would be led right back, almost as if he was meant to be here. And so he had been living in the lighthouse, sending out radio broadcast signals, hoping that one day someone will answer him and come to his rescue. In the next few radios, which take place years after his first one, this is day 3682, which just shows how long he'd been trapped in the facility, he begins to speak of dreams he has been having. He says they are similar to the ones he had at Der Eisendrache, where he sees the Great War. He mentions the Apothicons, the Mogwars, Primus, to the point where he begins to question if it was Richtofen's experiments that have warped his brain. And that's where he tells us Richtofen thought Pablo died, but it was only his mind that transformed, which seems to explain why Pablo is still alive. He's now been here for 10 years. He says no one has responded to his messages, that every time he tries to escape, his wrath just brings him back. This place is his prison. It is his waiting room, a purgatory of sorts. What he is having are not in fact dreams, but they are visions of what is to come or what has been. Pablo then begins to tell us more about the Great War and the cycle. Dr. Monty, this is where it gets very interesting, because he says, in my dreams of the Great War, I meet a German doctor who reminds me of a man who once tormented me, but his face is different. When I meet him, he is angry and frustrated. He mentions a man, Dr. Monty, saying he is to blame. This German doctor, he says he believed following Monty's plan would lead him to secure a better tomorrow. This was a lie, he says. This Dr. Monty, he sent the four to the Great War. It was at this moment the German doctor said he realised the truth. Coming to the Great War did not break the cycle, it was merely the end of their loop. We will die here, he says. Then we will be reborn again, and when it is time, we will meet once more, in northern France, continuing this never-ending loop. I wonder, he says, how many times have I perpetuated this endless cycle? I'm tired. I have been trying so very hard to do the right thing, but for all of his efforts, he had only fulfilled the prophecy of the cycle. He and Dr. Monty had forged this endless loop. The German doctor he is talking about is Richtofen. The reason he doesn't remember him because the face that he saw was Primus Richtofen, the one that tormented him was Ultimus Richtofen, but we now know more of how the cycle works. The Great War was the end of the loop. The characters died there, and then they would be reborn again, where the next time they would meet was in northern France, Origins. That is when the loop would continue all the way through to Revelations, then back to the Great War, where they would die, be reborn, meet up in Origins, and the loop would go over and over again. And as Pablo continues to talk, he tells us that Richtofen realises Monty isn't evil. Yes, even though he is the one who forged this endless loop, Monty really had no choice. If the loop wasn't to continue and was to break, Monty knew his life would come to an end. He knew it would lead to his death, and so Monty really had no choice. Either keep this infinite loop going, which would keep him alive, or end it, also ending him. He wasn't inherently evil. And that's when Pablo realises his true purpose, why he has been having these visions. He was not just sent to the Great War to witness what happened, but he was also there to help the Doctor break the cycle. Near the end of the Great War, when all hope is lost, Pablo is to protect post-Revelations Richtofen whilst he activates the device, a teleportation mechanism, hold back the undead whilst he powers it up, and give him the moment he needs to escape fate. It was this version of post-Revelations Richtofen that escaped the Great War, that explains how he ended up in Blood of the Dead. He arrived there because it was Pablo who helped him to escape, and it was also Pablo who gave him the elemental gem from the Fire Staff. It was for Richtofen to use in Alcatraz to vanquish the great evil, and that's why Pablo could never escape Tag der Toten. Every time he did, he would just get sent back to help break the loop, and that is Pablo's story on how he helps to break the cycle. He has a massive role to play in Zombies. Of course, we know at the end of Tag der Toten, his help finally comes where him and the Victus crew build the Orgothan device. Pablo then leaves. Victus send the device to Nikolai, and he uses it to destroy the multiverse, ultimately ending the zombie storyline. But yeah, that is Pablo's story, a very important character now in Zombies. Without him, the cycle would still be going. So there we go. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed the video. If you have, you know what to do, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.